Next thing I want to do is make some pine needle tea. What you have to remember with pine needle tea is, of course, pine needles are full of vitamin C. There's no question about it. Early peoples that came to the Americas used them to cure scurvy with, which is caused by a lack of vitamin C. The problem is that, you know, vitamin C is very susceptible to breakdown by heat, okay? And to make tea, you need heat. So what I'm going to do is I have put my cup over here on the wood stove, and I'm not going to let it get any hotter than I can put my fingers in that water, okay? And once it's that hot, all I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of these fresh pine needles and I'm going to chop them up, okay? And that will help give me more surface area and will help expose the oils and things in those pine needles. So I'm going to chop them up pretty fine here, okay? You see how I'm chopping that up real fine? That's what I want to use in this tea. Okay? And I'll strain this off when I'm done. But by exposing the oils inside those pine needles, I'm going to get myself a lot quicker, better tea than just soaking these pine needles in here whole. Okay? Now I can just pick that up and kind of shake the cut ones out. Set the ones that aren't cut to the side. And these small bits are what I'm going to use to make my tea with right here. And I've got enough for a couple of cups of tea here, easy enough, for sure. And I'm going to take that and put that, make sure there's no dead ones in there. I don't really need the dead ones. I want the green ones anyway. And put that in my cup. And in order to steep this, you can see there's some steam coming off of that. In order to steep this, I think I'm going to put just a few more of these pine needles in there. In order to steep this, what I need to do is I need to cover it up because I don't want any volatile oils escaping in the steam, really. So I'm going to go ahead and put a covering over the top of this. And inside this yurt, you know, I'll probably just use my notebook and put it over the top of that. If I were out in the wild somewhere or out in the wilderness somewhere or at a campsite somewhere, at that point I would probably use, you know, a rag or a rock or something like that. But in here, I can just use something like a book to cover that up with. Just like this. And I just want to keep that trapped in there. I want to let that sit good and warm. And like I said, that water's no hotter, you know, than I can still put my finger in at this point. So it's not real hot. And I'm going to let it sit there for about 10 minutes and steep. And then I'm going to strain it off. Okay, so my tea's been sitting here for a few minutes. You can see there's still some steam coming out of there. I covered that up. Again, that's why I prefer titanium. It holds heat for a long time. So now, what I want to do is, I want to strain this off. And to do that, I'm just going to take a piece of rag here. I'm going to put it over my stainless steel bottle and punch a little cone in the middle of it. Then I'm just going to take my Pathfinder pack stove here and put it right around my bottle to hold that in place. Now my hands are free. And I'm going to go ahead and pour that through, just like this. And I only made about 6 ounces of this, just to kind of go along with the amount of pine needles I had in there. Now I can shake the rest of these pine needles out outside and clean this cup out. Okay. Now I'll just take this off of here, just like this. Fold these pine needles up in the rag and take that out and dump it as well. Then I'll put this right back in my cup, just like that. Aside for a minute. Now I'm going to put 2 other things in this tea just to give myself a little bump. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put just a touch of cinnamon in here. Not very much. And then I'm going to put some honey in there. And again, you know, you want the real stuff. This ain't the real stuff, but it'll work for demonstration purposes right now. About a teaspoon of honey is good. Mix that up real good. So we've got pine needles full of vitamin C. We've got honey in here. great immune system booster and energy. And we've got cinnamon in here, which is really good for, you know, cough and cold and things like that, but it's also very good for your respiratory system. It's warming to your body. Okay, guys. Oh man, that's perfect. That is perfect. That's really, really good. And, you know, that'll take care of me a lot right there. You know, the absence of vegetables and greens in your diet is not a good thing. Right now, you're talking about wintertime. You know, the wild edibles are going to be scarce. You can find rosettes and things like that, and I could go out and find dandelion greens. I could probably still find some clover. I'm sure I could find some burdock root and things of that nature. I've got potatoes in here. So there are some greens that can be had out there, and those can just be a trail nibble as much as anything else. While I'm out scouting or hunting or whatever, I don't necessarily have to bring those in to cook with them. I'm not a big vegetable eater. I'm a meat eater. That's just the way it is. I do intake vegetables on the trail, you know, as just a trail nibble. Same thing with fruits. And, you know, if I find nuts out there and things like that, I can just use that repair needle to dig that nut meat out and eat the nuts. To get some of that protein and things out of the nuts that way, and some of the vitamins and nutrients. But, you know, I'm a big meat eater, and we've eaten a lot of meat, a lot of protein, a lot of carbohydrates in here, and a lot of fats, but we haven't had a lot of, you know, the core vitamins and things that you need that you get from green vegetables. This pine needle tea is going to help us out with the vitamin C, and we're going to have to scrounge up some wild edibles to, you know, at least nibble on and eat raw, if nothing else, to supplement our diet, because that's going to be an important thing, you know, in the coming weeks. You're okay for a week or week and a half without that kind of stuff. But once you get into a longer term situation, you're going to need those vitamins.